Well, I just don't want to shelter my children like that, because if they're going to be out there in the world someday, I want them to be aware.
What the federal government might be able to do to protect LGBTQ Americans, especially trans kids who are dealing with all these regressive state laws that are popping up right now.
Transgender kids is a really harder thing. What's going on in Florida is, as my mother would say, close to sinful. I mean, it's just terrible what they're doing. It's not like, a kid wakes up one morning and says, I decided I want to become a man, or I want to become a woman, or I want to change. I mean, what are they thinking about here? They're human beings. They love, they have feelings, they have inclinations that are, it just, to me, is, I don't know, it's cruel. And the way we do it is we make sure we pass legislation like we passed on same-sex marriage. You mess with that, you're breaking the law, and you're going to be held accountable.
Folks, God does not treat his children like that. Even without the graphic, sinful, unnecessary details, we know this is a bad thing.
The legislation, which has been referred to by opponents as the Don't Say Gay bill, has sparked national outrage.
We will make sure that parents can send their kids to school to get an education, not an indoctrination.
You don't even have to walk closely with it to know that it's vile and that it's to be avoided. We don't have to be graphic with our children.
No state should be able to do that, in my view. So I feel very, very strongly that you should have every single solitary right, including use of your gender identity bathrooms in public.
Thank you. Thank you. And it feels like Republicans have turned trans and non-binary people into this thing to blame society's downfall on in some ways.
Our children don't have to experience sin to know that sin is wrong.
Asking about 7 parental rights and education, what critics call the Don't Say Gay bill, is on the Senate floor.
Does it say that in the bill?
I know that you support.
Does it say that in the bill? I'm asking you to tell me what's in the bill, because you are pushing false narratives. It doesn't matter what critics say.
Hold on. It says it bans classroom instruction on sexual identity and gender orientation.
For who?
For
grades pre-K through 3. So 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and the idea that you wouldn't be honest about that and tell people what it actually says, it's why people don't trust people like you, because you peddle false narratives. And so we disabuse you of those narratives. And we're going to make sure that parents are able to send their kid to kindergarten without having some of this stuff injected into their school curriculum.
That's the way we should act towards sin. So don't you ever apologize for sheltering your children. Amen?
President Joe Biden has decided to wage war against Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida regarding gender ideology. While DeSantis is working to enact laws that protect children from destructive, life-changing treatments and surgeries that arise from gender ideology, Biden and the people he has put in power are working to do the exact opposite. Listen to the insanity of Admiral Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary for Health for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, who was named a Woman of the Year by USA Today, who can't imagine life without his children, yet is advocating for policies that would deprive the children of today from ever having children.
And then, my transition was very different because for many reasons, professional and mostly personal reasons, I transitioned over 10 years. Okay? Most people don't take that long to transition. First of all, young people are not willing to do that anymore. And, I don't know if I was 15 now, I don't know if I would have taken so long, but again, when I was 15, what were you going to say and who would you tell and how would you possibly express that? But, so the language started about, and that was now 20 years ago, when I kind of started this journey. And it was starting to become more in culture and the internet and support groups, etc. So I took a long time. I don't regret any of that. But I have no regrets, because if I transitioned when I was young, and I wouldn't have my children. I can't imagine a life without my children. And so every experience led me to here. And so how could I regret that?
I will confess, Of all the things that disturb me in this culture, of all the horrific, sinful, wretched, wicked, corrupt influences that go on in this culture, I think the thing that distresses me most is the war on children.
And it is not just President Joe Biden who is pushing for policies that are destroying the lives of countless young children who are being brainwashed with this evil propaganda regarding gender ideology. Here's Michelle Obama having a conversation with Zaya Wade, the son of NBA superstar Dwayne Wade, who now identifies as a female. Michelle Obama completely affirms Zaya in what he is doing and encourages all young people to explore their identity just like Zaya is doing.
Zaya, my 13-year-old transgender child.
What's going on? Tell me, what's on your mind?
I'm just nervous, but really excited.
Don't be nervous.
It's I'm meeting an idol. I'm literally meeting an idol.
I mean, I am just so proud of you, being just an amazing role model and embracing your truth, right? You're already doing this. So maybe this is for some other young people that are listening.
I feel,
but let me just say, it does take time to know what your self is, for young people. So my first piece of advice is be patient with yourself. Number one, at your age or in the teenage years and probably through your 20s, you're going to be experimenting with so many versions of yourself, right? All young people are trying on different versions, different voices. They're learning more about their intellect. They're learning about what they love, what they're good at, what they like. This is the period of exploration.
Western culture has never been more dangerous for children than it is today, because today we have the most powerful and influential people in the country, such as Joe Biden and Michelle Obama, advocating for policies that will completely destroy the prospect of children living normal lives.
This culture is weaponized to destroy children. It's systematically designed to do that.
I do hate to speak about it, but I'm experiencing sexual dysfunction at the age of 18. That's something that women usually go through when they're in their 40s to 50s.
Right.
How is I supposed to know?
Besides the powerful and influential leaders in our culture working to destroy the lives of children, the entire school system itself that the vast majority of children go to is also set up to corrupt and destroy children.
It is likely that the child will be sent to a public school and come under the influence of those whose agenda is anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-Scripture.
Now, speaking of protecting the youth, when parent Michelle Brown discovered a sexually graphic book was being made available to students, she confronted the local school board, and its response ended up proving her point.
Here's an excerpt, and I'm going to really try to be careful so I don't get kicked out. Excited now, he pushed into her. As she squeezed her eyes and tightly as she could, her tongue circled her lips. He pushed harder, his breath heavy and labored. She scratched his back, and he cried out. She bit his ear and pulled his hair. There's a lot more to it. It's 50 Shades of Grey and CCSD.
Excuse me.
Yes.
We have children at home.
I know.
It's live streaming, and it's really not appropriate.
Don't you
for to
find
read
the
that.
irony in that? You're exactly saying exactly what I'm telling you.
More and more laws are being enacted that are normalizing the corruption and destruction of children.
And as you know, our country, the politicians who lead it, are making laws that are devastating to children under the pressure of sexual freedom, homosexuality, transgenderism.
But check this out. The Biden administration is taking fire from both sides of the political aisle after proposing a new rule limiting the ability of schools and universities that receive federal dollars to ban males from competing in women's sports, as 20 states have enacted such measures.
And those who oppose this agenda that is being pushed by the most powerful people in the country and culture are more and more not only being ostracized from the culture, but also punished and arrested by the law.
The desire is to make that normal and to punish people who speak against it with laws in the category of hate speech.
A high school student in Canada has been arrested for declaring that men and women are different. Josh Alexander attended St. Joseph's High School, Catholic High School in Renfrew, Ontario. He was barred from school from the grounds for saying that God created two genders, because that's kind of a Christian precept and also common sense. When he showed up for class, police arrested him. You can see it on your screen right now.
Almost every aspect of popular culture has been taken over by these wicked ideologies.
The lies of systemic racism and the race hustlers dominate the ideologies of universities and even churches. Music producers, movie makers, social media providers, big tech, you name it. They literally pump out things that destroy children.
The famous chocolate maker Hershey's is being viciously mocked online for their new ad. They've gone full woke in their latest commercial, which claims to celebrate women. But take a look and see if you can spot why they've upset so many people.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the Executive Director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the women changing how we see the future at Hershey's Canada.
Yes, so that was the voice of a transgender woman promoting International Women's Day.
One humorous result of Hershey's insanity was the Daily Wire launching its very own chocolate company as an alternative to Hershey's.
But our friends over at Hershey's, they don't even know what a woman is. They've hired a biological male to be the spokesperson for their Women's Day campaign. And they're calling that campaign, and I swear I'm not making this up, Hershey. Hershey. It's humiliating. And it's the reason that I'm launching Jeremy's chocolate. We have two kinds, she, her, and he, him. One of them's got nuts. If you need me to tell you which one it is, keep giving your money to Hershey's.
If we care about children, we will recognize that they need our guidance and protection from a culture and country that is weaponized against them. And we will recognize the danger they are in if we let the culture teach and dictate to them what is right and true.
Children are under a relentless assault by all the forces of evil, and they are defenseless. And we have a society and a culture that wants to make sure that these who are pumping out this destruction are free to keep doing it without restraint.
Watch this absolutely shocking video of what a dad said at a school board meeting about a teacher's sexually explicit assignment.
I want to first say you're a liar. It's not a rumor. I have the proof right here in my phone of the with whom would you do it with? And my daughter specifically stated that the teacher put up a wheel on the class board and it stated anal penetration, oral sex, licking of ear, kissing, and he wanted them to write down the initials of a boy or girl that they would do these activities with. Now, I don't know what's worse, wanting to know my child's sexual fantasy or who they're gonna have anal penetration and oral sex with. What is he gaining from this? What do you gain from this information?
Children are defenseless when their parents sell them to a human trafficker who drops them 8 to 10 feet over a wall into Sodom and Gomorrah all by themselves.
It's also the largest entertainment organizations that are also seeking to pervert the minds of young children with this kind of godless ideology.
Or when the Disney Corporation creates characters that are transgender to seduce children into accepting wickedness as normal.
Excuse me, which of these products would you recommend?
Well, these are the tampons I usually use.
Thank you.
I prefer pads. They're more comfortable for me.
Thank you.
I always get the ones with wings.
Thank you.
Get unscented and bleach-free if you can.
Thank you.
Yo, my daughter loves these.
Thank you.
These might be easier if it's her first period. These are really environmentally friendly.
Y'all, in this one scene, Disney has hit every intersectional box. We're talking about periods. We got women's rights issues. It's environmentally friendly. We have a trans man.
And what's perhaps most shocking at all is the number of parents who are destroying their children's lives with this wicked ideology.
Or when parents insanely offer their children gender identity options.
On the 6th of March, we welcomed our beautiful twins into the world. A boy called Arlo and a girl called Emerald. So now they're 4 years old and they identify as two boys. It's not really, he said, I want to be a boy. He said, I am a boy. And that is the difference.
The reality is that absolutely no child who is only 4 years old has the mental capacity to decide his or her gender. This can only happen if the parents are actively working to corrupt their children with gender ideology. We are living in dark times, and we as Christians must be aware of the war upon children that is happening, as well as prepare to fight back and protect children from this evil.
Children are under assault. Now the government wants to even have more influence on them. So the president announced that they would like to provide government education free of charge from the age of 3 to 20. You get the picture. From the president and the leading politicians and bureaucrats, teachers, race hustlers, pornographers, media people, tech people, even medical people. Children, the most defenseless, are under attack. There is a war on children.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos and want to help support this channel, the best way to do it is to just watch these videos until the end and click the subscribe button. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement.